You're watching Transformers of Eternia. Now today I wanted to give my thoughts on Transformers Masterpiece MPG-09 Super Ginrai, or as I like to call him, Powermaster Optimus Prime. If you enjoyed this video, why not hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Okay, so this is MP-09 or Powermaster Optimus Prime in his truck form with the guns on the roof and guns everywhere and all this stuff. And I just figured I'd put the box behind it so you kind of know what the box looks like. So this is the box. This is how it looks on the side and everything. It's kind of a boring, kind of general, blank, basic box for a masterpiece. It's pretty big though. So yeah, let's get this thing open and I'll kind of show you what it looks like on the inside. And yeah, this is really huge. So here's the box, actually, the actual box that you get with the figure. This is the back where it shows all the fun, you know. So anyway, yeah, you get the electrical, whatever, rainbow electrical sparks or whatever you can see there. Anyway, but yeah, you get all this stuff and you get the Powermaster guy, which is really cool. You actually get two versions of him. But anyway, you get this. This is the back. So this is what it looks like. You get the idea what this is anyway. Okay, so let's flip this around. There's the top and what it looks like on the side and everything. But yeah, this is what it looks like on the front of the box. I'm sure that you guys could find this online pretty easily. This thing is very, very expensive. It's like $300 something. So yeah, it's pretty bad. But anyway, I got this because I have a love for the Master or the Powermaster Optimus Prime version of Prime. That was the only Optimus Prime I had as a kid. I didn't have the G1 one. So this is like the only version of Optimus Prime I got as a kid. So this is what you get in the box. Obviously the truck and the trailer is missing. And this is kind of what's left over. You can see where the trailer wants. There's the lightning, electrical rainbow lightning or whatever. And then there's the heads and the other heads anyway. And then there's two different hands, laser blasts. And this is the extra Powermaster guy, but this one doesn't transform. So that's what you get. Okay, so here's the truck and this is the trailer and everything that goes with it. It looks really very much like the Powermaster version. So it's got the guns. It's got double sets of guns on the roof of the semi-truck trailer that you can actually take both of those guns apart. You can have smaller guns for the cab version of the Optimus Prime. And then you get the bigger guns for the super robot version, I guess. And of course, you get the gray ones that are on top of the roof there. And yes, this thing looks a little bizarre because it's got those giant arm things that are red sticking up at the front of the cab or in the front of the trailer and everything. And yeah, that's what the original one was like too. And that's kind of just how it looks. But thankfully, we got those gray guns to stick on there because otherwise I think it would look ridiculous. And for a masterpiece or whatever, for this thing to cost so much and for them to still have those sticking up so high, it seems a little bit much. So that's kind of a gripe that I have with this thing. But other than that, I think this looks and kind of captures the heart and the feel of the original Powermaster Optimus Prime or Super Ginrai, as they say. But I think of it as Powermaster Optimus Prime because that's what we got in the US. Okay, so we got these guns. We'll just take the guns off. I'm just going to kind of show you. This is how it goes. There's two. They come apart. One smaller than the other one, and obviously that's how it looks. You know, they can flip, like the handle can flip like that, so you can have it holding it like that, or it's got the little peg right there. And then you do the same on the other gun. So it's exactly the same type of thing on the other gun. So that's kind of cool. But there's a lot of detail. I wish there was a little bit less. I wish you could just have it peg, like with the peg right there into the hand of the Optimus Prime version, not the big version. But whatever, that's the way they did it. Okay, so this is the trailer. I'm going to show you kind of how it looks. The trailer of this is very, very much like the G1 toy in a lot of ways. This pegs down and you can kind of do, I don't think that, yeah, this thing doesn't actually plug in there, but it looks like it should. Anyway, so that's just kind of how it works. I'm kind of learning this thing as I go for the first time. because I haven't transformed this thing a whole lot yet. So anyway, it looks like it should be pegging there, but instead it pegs in the other little peg or whatever. But this is the front of it. You can clearly see the robot arms, and there's pegs right there for, you know, guns and stuff. And then this thing looks exactly like the original, and the arms are a little bit too high, I think. But whatever, that's how it looks. But this is what it looks like from the side. It looks very, very much like the G1 version. And from the back, it's kind of bizarre, but you can't really use this as like a regular trailer. You can't just open these things up very easily. And this flips, you know, you could flip this thing up from the back, which is not going to do any good. But anyway, you really can't do anything. These are basically the feet. See, they flip down. Now both of them do that. So it's and it's really tough to do that. It's really, really tough, especially if you don't have fingernails like me. So anyway, that's basically what the back of the trailer looks like that. And then you can kind of flip this down. Okay, so I got that all back in place now. That was kind of a pain in the butt. Anyway, I wish for the price we would actually get like lights on the back right here. Like the back of the semi-truck would have actually lights like a real semi would have. But I guess they decided not to do that. But other than that, this looks like Powermaster Optimus Prime, the trailer. It's got the right length of the trailer, at least. That's the most important part. But you could see clearly that there's a robot on the underside of this thing. There's clearly, like, you could see all the components of the robot underneath here. So here you can see that it has the feet that comes down that you can kind of hold the trailer up. So that's kind of cool that you can do that anyway, which you should expect that anyway for the price that we're paying for this. But anyway, that's the trailer and everything. Now let's get to the actual Optimus Prime, the front of the cab and everything here. So this is kind of a cool looking Optimus Prime. It's very masterpiece-ish, I guess. And you get the Powermaster in the front there, which is very kind of cool. And you get to see, I mean, this thing doesn't look as good as it could, I think, as a masterpiece, because I think they could have made it look a little more like a semi-truck, covering up some of these things on the side. But other than that, this looks like Powermaster Optimus Prime, so I guess I can't complain, because this is what he looked like when I had him as a kid. They just made it more classic or more realistic looking, I guess, more like a generation style thing. And here's the Powermaster guy that comes off the front. This plugging into this thing is not the greatest. For the price you're paying, this should not be a struggle. I'm telling you, the original toy had it plugging in and doing it plugged in a lot easier and a lot better than the masterpiece version, which is kind of insane that they had this issue with this. So it's just kind of this there, and you can take it out really easy. There's shiny chrome for the front of the cab and stuff there too, but everything looks good. It looks about right. There's the feet in the back. There's obviously no lights in the back either. So that's kind of how it looks. So that's really shows you the back of the cab and everything. So that's how it looks in vehicle form, and it rolls and does everything just fine. The wheels are plastic, not rubber as well. So yeah. This thing is a good Optimus Prime. It's got a lot of chrome on it. Anyway, it looks very cool. I like the front. It looks very like classy looking. Let's compare this to Commander Class Optimus Prime, which is the reason why I got this actually, is because this thing fits in with the generation style Transformers perfectly. So these two are actually, this one's actually bigger than the other one, than the Masterpiece. You know, Commander Class is a really good Transformer, but it shouldn't be bigger than the Masterpiece over here. I mean, that's pretty insane. So what we're getting here is a Masterpiece that's $300, and an $80, $90 Transformer is actually bigger, and I think actually, sadly to say, a little bit better in a lot of ways. But this is the comparison from the side anyway, so you can kind of get a general idea that these two are very much on the same scale-wise anyway. Okay, transformation's all done. Now I got him in robot form, and this is what he looks like standing next to Commander Class Optimus Prime. So as you can see, they are very much on the same scale. In fact, the Masterpiece version here is a little bit smaller than the Commander Class Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime. But that's okay, because they're just, it's like it's like that's the future version of the Commander Class Optimus Prime. That's the way I see it anyway. Like in the future, he becomes a Power Master. So anyway, that's really what you get here. You get a Transformer that is very much along the lines of the Generation style, but it has that Masterpiece kind of feel. And Masterpiece feels a little bit like you gotta mess with everything to kind of just get it to pose right or whatever. And it just kind of feels like it's a little bit too like they're trying to be too I guess perfect, and in doing so they kind of mess up things. But that's the way I feel about it anyway. It doesn't feel as solid as the Commander class figure in a lot of ways, but I think it's a good figure. After all said and done, I think I like this version of him anyway. Okay, so here he is next to the Studio Series 86 Bumblebee, and obviously they're kind of on the same scale with, I keep saying it, but this is like the Generation style Masterpiece Optimus Prime for Power Masters, I guess. I'm just going to keep saying that. So anyway, that was Bumblebee. So now we're going to get, let's see, Galvatron, and let's put him next to him. Now, Galvatron almost looks bigger than him, but they look like they're about the same scale. And I think in my mind that those two would be in the same cartoon, in the same generation, actually. Because it's like after Optimus Prime returned from the dead, this is the Optimus Prime toy we got back in the 80s. But fitting next to Galvatron is kind of cool. Anyway, so that's what you get. So let's take Galvatron out of here and let's try a different one. Let's see what he looks like next to Optimus Prime, and they're both on the same scale. This Optimus Prime scales well with him. So let's see another one. I'm just kind of going through these kind of fast. Let's see, Ultra Magnus. Let's look at Ultra Magnus with this guy and see how big he fits with him. Anyway, if I can get them all in the same frame. Anyway, yeah. So this is what they look like together, and this is about the right scale. I think this is perfect. So I have no problem with this. I really do like, Ultra Magnus standing next to him, the same scale anyway. So anyway, that being said, let's try another one to scale next to him. Let's see. We'll do the Megatron. This is the third party Megatron that turns into a gun. And obviously this is a little bit small, but this is a third party, so just keep that in mind. This is not the Studio Series 86 Megatron yet, but this one actually is the gun, so that's kind of cool that we get this. So yeah, that's how he scales next to this Power Master version of Optimus Prime. This is an MP, but whatever. This is basically, that Megatron is kind of like an MP in itself too, but it's a little small. So anyway, let's try another one. Let's compare him to, let's see. I'll compare him to the Fallen, or Megatronus, I guess. This is before he caught on fire. So anyway, Megatronus actually scales well with him as well. So see what I'm saying? This is the reason why I wanted this. I don't collect Masterpiece, but this fits in with my generation, so that's the reason why I got this one. Okay, so this is the base mode, the actual base mode for Powermaster Optimus Prime's trailer and all that stuff. And you can see I got little He-Man over there in the far right, and I got Overload, which is one of my original Transformers from the 80s that I rebought off Amazon anyway. It's not my original one, but anyway. And Overload is a cool Transformer. I kind of wish that they would do him in like a deluxe scale or a Voyager scale, or I shouldn't say a deluxe scale, maybe smaller, a core class, I mean. But yeah, anyway, you got Jolt over there, and you got the Power Master guy in the middle there, and you can kind of see some mini micro machines or micro masters or whatever. Anyway, Transformers that kind of fit in with that scale. So it does work as a base. This is what it would look like anyway. So it's whatever. It's a base. I've never really been a fan of this version, because let's be honest, we all want the Power Master powered up version of him where he's got the trailer combined with the cab anyway. But this is what you get. This is what it looks like. It looks very cool, I guess, for this type of setup. So here is the Power Master powered up version of Super Ginrai or whatever anyway, and I put those guns in the back, and I think that looks so cool that they can actually pose back there. I don't think you could do that on the original toy, but that looks very cool with it like that. So anyway, this is what he looks like in his form. You got alternate hands that look like these. I put on the blue ones that are on there now, but these ones were on there originally. I think this is what it looked like in the Japanese cartoon, these type of hands, but I like the blue ones on there, so that's why I put those on there, right there. So anyway, this is what it looks like with the blue hands on anyway. And this is another head that they had in there. I think I changed the head, though. You can slide it on the back anyway. So you can change the heads to be more anime accurate, more toy accurate, and all that stuff for this head. So that's what you get with that. But yeah, this thing looks very cool. It's very big too. But obviously it doesn't have like feet, but they are posable on the bottom. You can see down there the actual feet that they can pivot and everything. But this thing looks really cool. I think this is what I paid for. This is why I paid so much. But anyway, you can bend these guns back down again, which is very cool that they're just kind of posable. Everything's really posable on this thing. Obviously, you get all the articulation you ever can imagine for this. You can do everything that you want with this posing-wise anyway. So, and you obviously, like I said, the feet down there are kind of crappy. I don't like the feet. And this thing really just, I mean, you can see the feet on the side there where they're pivot underneath, but that front thing is like a shield over the foot, and I really don't know if I like that. But that's exactly the way it was, I think, in the Japanese cartoon, which I never watched. So whatever, this is my dumb American point of view on it. But you can see like the angle of the foot down there, but this thing gets right in the way. So I don't know. I think they could have done more with the feet. But yeah, this is from the side what it looks like. It's got a lot. The backpack's not terrible on this thing either. So you can kind of see that holds the guns right up here. And you got multiple pegs on the back. So you could put guns all over this thing. Guns here, guns here. You could put guns everywhere. So that is so cool that they got so many pegs in the back of this thing. And that's a good use, I think, for the back. Or the backpack anyway. But this is the other side. You can kind of get an idea of everything. There's even a peg on the arm right there, so you can put a gun there if you want. There's so many options with this thing. It gives you all the stuff that you want. But this thing looks really cool, and I'm glad I got it. This just reminds me, oh yeah, the head is really articulated. You can pose that around. But I hate this thing underneath the head because it doesn't rest on the chest of the truck mode very well. It feels like you got to push it down more. Maybe I just don't have it in there right. But you can see there's a little bit of a gap there. So that's kind of something you want to think about. But whatever, it's just the way it is. I think there's other options out there. Some third-party thing will probably be made to fix that. But anyway, this Powermaster looks cool in the chest there. Everything looks great. I really like this mode. This is my favorite. And as you can see, it's very big, so I have to stand away from the camera. So sorry for my giant arm getting in the way. But you could pose this thing like everything poses. You got all this angle. Like, look at that. I mean, you could do a lot of bending with that. Obviously, the backpack gets in the way there, but you got a good posability and everything clicks in place. Now, this Powermaster guy is giving me problems because once again, it wants to come out. You can see that there. But other than that, the legs do bend and everything poses just right. So you get a lot of poses out of this thing for pictures, and you can see it looks really cool from up above. I mean, like the head and everything. And I like those arm guns on the shoulders. Those always make it look a little bit more powered up, like I guess more war ready for an Optimus Prime. But that is what makes this thing look so cool. Okay, now that I showed off all that, so I wanted to just kind of show you, this is what it looked like when I first pulled it out of the box. This is what the whole thing entails when you pull it out in the plastic, and with everything all in its box and all in its place, this is what it looks like. So this is all the stuff you get in this one little plastic, or in this one big plastic thing for $300 basically. And I didn't really talk about the Powermaster guy because there's not really much going on with him. But yeah, he transforms. He really just transforms like the original Powermaster. So there's not much change other than the feet kind of fold. And other than that, there's not much difference. So yeah, it's not like he has elbows or anything. This guy just kind of poses like that basically. So there's not much to him. and then he folds his feet up on the sides and he plugs into the front of the cab like you see there. So anyway, I'm just kind of showing pictures now. This is kind of these are some of the shots that I took just to kind of show you multiple pictures on one screen so you got a good idea of what this thing looks like for the price you're paying. And here is Powermaster Optimus Prime all powered up, and this is him compared to other generation style figures like Ultra Magnus, Rodimus Prime, and the Commander Class Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and all that stuff, and even a little He-Man figure in there. Here's another image showing off the base mode and just kind of showing off the fact that you can fit Bumblebee in there in his car form somewhat. So yeah, you can kind of do that. Anyway, this is kind of a good little play style if you have Micromasters and stuff like that. Here he is compared to Trypticon, and I mean, obviously opposed pictures. There's just a bunch of pictures I wanted to show off, so these are just some of the shots. I just kind of worked them into the same frame together. But yeah, these are kind of cool anyway. You can see how big this guy is next to Trypticon, so you can really get a judge of how big this thing can be. But yeah, obviously Trypticon is massive, so you're just kind of getting a good view of that. But this thing looks very cool in robot form, and I'm so glad I got this thing. I don't know if it was actually worth $300 though, but I'm pretty sure that they overprice these things. But anyway, tell me what you think about this thing in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.